If you have ever felt a sudden and crushing wave of exhaustion the moment you stepped through the doorway of your childhood home, if you have noticed that a simple 10-minute phone call with a specific parent or sibling leaves you needing to sleep for 3 hours to recover your equilibrium, or if you have a small birthmark or mole on the back of your neck or near your left ear, then you need to stop what you are doing and listen to this transmission very carefully. This is not a video about family psychology. This is not about teenage rebellion or midlife crises. We are diving into the archives of the greatest medical clairvoyant of the 20th century, Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet. And we are going to unlock a file that has been kept in the shadows for far too long. It concerns the vibrational exile. You may have spent your entire life thinking you are the problem. You have been labeled the black sheep, the difficult one, the one who is too sensitive, the one who can never just let things go. But according to the readings of the Akashic records, there is a profound spiritual reason why you had to walk away. There is a reason why you felt like you were suffocating in the very place you were supposed to feel safe. You did not leave your family because you stopped loving them. You left because your soul began to vibrate at a frequency that became biologically incompatible with the ancestral pattern. Cayce spoke often of soul groups. He spoke of entities entering the earth plane in clusters to resolve old debts. But he also identified a specific type of soul, a soul that enters a lineage not to continue it, but to interrupt it. If you were born between 1968 and 1998, this is highly likely to be your specific signature. You are what the esoteric sciences call a pattern breaker, and the process of breaking a pattern requires a period of intense isolation. Think about the last time you tried to explain your dreams or your new ideas to your family. Did you feel a physical tightening in your solar plexus? Did your throat feel like it was closing up? That was not anxiety. That was your etheric body engaging a defense mechanism. The sleeping prophet explained that our blood is not just biological fluid. It is a conductor of karma. It carries the memories of every trauma, every lie, and every fear your ancestors refused to face. When you sit at a dinner table with your bloodline, you are sitting inside a massive magnetic field of these ancient memories. Most people simply absorb this field. They repeat the habits of their parents. They marry the same types of people. They suffer the same illnesses. They stay asleep. But you woke up. Somewhere along the line, perhaps when you were 7 years old, or perhaps during a crisis in your late 20s, something in your DNA clicked. You started to ask questions that made everyone uncomfortable. You started to see the lies they were telling themselves. You became a mirror, and people hate looking into a mirror when it shows them the dirt on their own faces. This is why the distance grew. It was not emotional. It was vibrational physics. Imagine a radio trying to play 2 different stations at the exact same time. Static, noise, chaos. That is what happened to your nervous system every time you tried to lower yourself back down to fit into their box. Edgar Cayce taught that we choose our families, and this is the hardest pill to swallow. You chose them specifically because they were heavy. You chose the resistance. Just as a weightlifter chooses the heavy iron to build muscle, you chose a lineage heavy with karma to build spiritual fortitude. But here's the secret that nobody tells you. The agreement was never to stay and carry that weight forever. The agreement was to lift it once, acknowledge it, and then set it down. The guilt you feel when you do not call them is a trick of the ego. It is a phantom pain. The records suggest that when a pattern breaker steps away from the toxic family dynamic, they are actually performing an act of high service. You are stopping the flow of generational trauma. By removing yourself, You are removing the fuel that keeps the dysfunction burning. You are the firebreak in the forest. You are letting the old ways die so that something new can be born in your own bloodline. This is why you feel so tired. You have been fighting an invisible war on the psychic plane for decades. You have been metabolizing the grief of your grandmothers and the rage of your grandfathers. And now you are in the phase of the exile. This is a sacred time. Do not mistake this solitude for loneliness. Loneliness is a lack of people. Solitude is a fullness of self. Edgar Cayce often prescribed periods of withdrawal for those who were developing their inner faculties. He knew that you cannot hear the voice of the divine when you are constantly being bombarded by the static of family drama. You are in the cocoon phase. The caterpillar must completely dissolve before it can become the butterfly. It must leave the colony of caterpillars who only know how to crawl and eat. If you are currently estranged or have set hard boundaries with your family, do not look at it as a failure. Look at it as a graduation. You are being protected. Your energy field is being recalibrated. If you continue to expose yourself to the lower frequencies of judgment and manipulation, you will shatter your own crystal. You are too conductive now. You feel too much. You know when they are lying even before they speak. You can sense their hidden agendas floating in the air like smoke. It makes you physically ill because your body is rejecting the poison. Listen to that nausea. It is intelligence. It is the wisdom of the Akashic records speaking through your biology. We are going to go much deeper into how to handle the guilt and what your specific mission is now that you are free. But first, I need to know if this message has found the right souls. I need to know if the tribe of the pattern breakers is assembled. If you feel this resonance in your chest, if you know that you are the one who had to leave to save your own soul, then I need you to leave a specific command in the comments below. This is an affirmation of your sovereignty. Write this down. I am the breaker of chains. Write it. I am the breaker of chains. Claim your status. Because in the next few minutes, we are going to discuss the 3 symptoms of ascension flu that strike exactly 3 days after you cut ties with a toxic relative. You might think you are getting sick, but Cayce would say you are finally getting well. Stay with me. The veil is lifting. Now let us speak of the silence, the heavy and suffocating silence that fills the room when you stop answering the calls, the silence that stretches between your house and the house where you grew up. Most people look at this distance and they call it estrangement. Psychologists call it setting boundaries. But Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet, he would look at this silence and call it a quarantine zone. You have not created a gap. You have created a sterile field. Because what you are doing is not abandoning your family. You are performing open-heart surgery on your own lineage, and you cannot perform surgery in a contaminated room. We need to go deep into the architecture of this silence because the guilt you feel right now is not actually yours. It is a phantom limb pain. When you amputate a limb that has become gangrenous to save the body, the brain still registers pain where the leg used to be. When you cut the etheric cord to a toxic family dynamic, your emotional body still registers the pain of that connection. You feel the phantom guilt. You feel the phantom obligation. But listen to me closely. The pain proves the procedure was necessary. If the leg was healthy, you would not have had to cut it off. In the readings of the Akashic records, Cayce often spoke of souls traveling in groups. He called them soul groups or family clusters. Usually, these groups incarnate together to support one another, to build, to love. But sometimes a soul group gets stuck in a loop of addiction, a loop of abuse, a loop of poverty consciousness, a loop of betrayal. They reincarnate over and over again, replaying the same tragedy like a broken record. 1900 years, 2000 years, the same arguments at the dinner table, the same resentment between mother and daughter, the same emotional distance between father and son. It is a karmic whirlpool, and it pulls every single soul down to the bottom. Until you showed up. You. The one watching this right now. You made a different agreement before you entered this body. You signed a contract of intervention. This is what Cayce referred to as the pattern breaker entity. You did not come to keep the peace. You came to break the spell. And the only way to break a spell that has lasted for centuries is to stop speaking the language of the spell. That is why you went silent. That is why you had to walk away. Your soul recognized that as long as you were engaging in the drama, you were feeding the beast. Every time you argued, you gave it energy. Every time you tried to explain yourself, you gave it fuel. So you did the most radical thing a soul can do. You starved it. You withdrew your energy from the system. And the system is panicking. This is why they call you the black sheep. But let us reframe that right now in the eyes of the spirit. You are not the black sheep. You are the white blood cell. Think about biology. When a virus enters the body, the immune system sends white blood cells to attack the infection. To the virus, the white blood cell looks like the enemy. To the virus, the white blood cell is the villain. Your family calls you difficult. They call you sensitive. They call you selfish. Because you are the antibody attacking the dysfunction they have identified with. You are the immune response of your bloodline. And the fever you are feeling, the isolation, the loneliness, it is the heat of the battle. This brings us to the concept of the karmic contract of solitude. There is a specific period written in your timeline, usually lasting between 18 months and 3 years, where you must walk entirely alone. Cayce spoke of Jesus spending time in the desert. He spoke of the Essenes retreating to the caves of Qumran. This is not a punishment. This is an incubation chamber. Your vibrational frequency is trying to rise to a new octave. But your family is vibrating at a dense frequency. Fear, control, guilt, shame. If you stay in their field while you are trying to ascend, it creates a dissonance in your nervous system. It is like trying to play a beautiful melody on a violin while someone is drilling a hole in the floor next to you. The physics simply do not work. You had to step away to tune your instrument. This is why the silence feels so loud. It is the sound of you finally hearing your own guidance for the first time in your life. Without their voices in your head telling you who you are supposed to be. Without their projections of their own failures onto your shoulders. You are beginning to hear the whisper of your own spirit. And this is terrifying at first, because we are addicted to the noise. We are addicted to the chaos. Peace feels boring to a nervous system wired for trauma. Let me repeat that because it is vital. Peace feels boring to a nervous system wired for trauma. You might feel an urge to reach out, to pick up the phone, to start a fight just to feel something familiar. Do not do it. Hold the line. You are in the middle of the bridge. The old world is behind you, and it is burning. The new world is ahead of you, and it is still hidden in the mist. You are in the void. And the void is where the magic happens. Edgar Cayce described the body as a temple, but he also described the blood as a river of memory. Your blood carries the memories of your grandmother's sorrow. It carries the memories of your father's rage. By stepping away, you are filtering your own blood. You are rewriting the genetic code. This is not a metaphor. Epigenetics now confirms what Cayce saw in trance states 80 years ago. trauma changes the DNA expression. But healing also changes the DNA expression. By refusing to participate in the toxicity, you are literally turning off the genes for illness and turning on the genes for longevity. You are saving your future children. You are saving your future self. And weirdly enough, you are saving them too. Even if they never speak to you again. Even if they die angry at you. By breaking the pattern, you have introduced a new option into the soul group. You have proven it is possible to leave the whirlpool. You have placed a ladder in the pit. Maybe they will climb it in this life. Maybe they will climb it in the next. But the ladder is there because you built it. You built it with your silence. You built it with your boundaries. You built it with your pain. Now. I mentioned the ascension flu. This is the physical confirmation that the contract is being fulfilled. When you finally hold that boundary, when you survive the first holiday season alone, when you ignore the guilt trips, your body begins to purge the stored trauma, and it hits you like a freight train. Symptom number 1 is extreme exhaustion that sleep does not fix. You could sleep for 12 hours and wake up tired. This is because your astral body is working overtime in the dream state to repair the tears in your aura caused by years of family warfare. You are undergoing a spiritual recalibration. Cayce would advise castor oil packs on the solar plexus during this time, because the solar plexus is the center of personal power, and it has been drained dry by your need to please them. Symptom number 2 is a sudden intolerance for artificial food and substances. Your body is rejecting anything that lowers your vibration. You might suddenly get sick from alcohol, or feel nauseous after eating processed sugar. You are becoming a high-precision instrument. You cannot put diesel fuel in a Ferrari, and you are becoming a Ferrari of the spirit. Symptom number 3 is the most strange and the most profound. It is the loss of memory, not dementia, not forgetfulness. But the emotional charge of the memories begins to fade. You look at photos of your childhood, and it feels like you are looking at a stranger. You remember the events, but you can no longer feel the stinging pain associated with them. This is the sign that the karma is clearing. The hook has been removed from your flesh. The wound is becoming a scar. And a scar is just skin that is tougher than it was before. But there is a trap here. A trap that catches 90% of people who try to walk this path. Just when you start to feel better. Just when the silence starts to feel like peace instead of punishment. They will come back. They will sense your light. They will sense that you are no longer feeding them energy. And they will reach out. Usually with a crisis, a sudden illness, a financial emergency, a mystery that only you can solve. This is the test. This is the final exam of the karmic contract. Cayce called this the meeting of the self. Will you go back into the burning building? Or will you stand outside and throw them the water hose? There is a difference. Compassion does not mean self-destruction. You can love them from a distance. You can pray for them from a distance. But you cannot set yourself on fire just to keep them warm. Not anymore. Because you have a destiny that requires you to be whole. You have a mission that requires you to be intact. If you feel this resonance, if you feel the truth of this in your bones, then you are ready for the next phase, the phase of reconstruction, where we take this empty space you have created and we begin to fill it with the people who were actually meant to be your family, your soul family, the ones who recognize you without you having to explain yourself. But to call them in, we must first seal the leaks in your energy field. We must secure the perimeter. I want you to verify your commitment to this path. I want you to verify that you are done with the guilt. Leave a comment below declaring your new state of being. Write these words: I release the guilt that is not mine. Write it now. I release the guilt that is not mine. Let the algorithm know. Let the universe know. Let your own subconscious mind know. Because in the next section, we are going to unlock the 7 Cayce protocols for rapid auric restoration. We are going to show you how to patch the holes in your energy field in less than 7 days, so that you stop leaking power and start magnetizing miracles. Do not click away. The reconstruction begins in 3, 2, 1. Now that the seal is set, now that you have spoken the words of release into the ether, we must address the silence that follows. That deafening silence between you and the people who share your blood. You have likely told yourself a story about this silence. A story that says you are the runaway. A story that says you are the one who gave up. A story that whispers you are the cold one, the ungrateful one, the one who turned their back on tradition. But Edgar Cayce saw something entirely different when he looked into the records of souls who separate from their biological clans. He did not see abandonment. He saw preservation. He saw a quarantine of the spirit initiated not by anger, but by necessity. You need to understand the mechanics of what is actually happening in your glandular system when you step away from the toxic loop. This is not about psychology alone. This is about physics. It is about vibration. If you are watching this, it is because your frequency has accelerated beyond the baseline of your lineage. Think of a spinning top. When it spins fast enough, it stabilizes and stands upright. When it slows down, it begins to wobble, and eventually, it falls. Your family unit in its current state of unhealed trauma is vibrating at a slower density, a density of repetition, a density of stagnation, a density where the same arguments and the same shadows play out decade after decade. When you enter that field, your body knows before your mind does. This is why you get tired the moment you walk through their door. This is why your solar plexus tightens. This is why your throat chakra closes up and you find it hard to speak your truth. Cayce taught that our bodies are simply the physical manifestation of our spiritual currents. Your body is rejecting the lower frequency not because you hate them, but because you are evolving. And here is the revelation that will change how you sleep at night. You did not leave to hurt them. You left to save the bloodline. You are what the Akashic records refer to as the cycle breaker. And being a cycle breaker is the most difficult job a soul can volunteer for. It means you agreed to be the dam that stops the river of trauma. Imagine a river of sludge flowing down a mountain for 7 generations. Alcoholism, abuse, poverty mindset, silence, neglect. It flows from your great-grandparents to your grandparents to your parents. And then it hits you. And you stand there like a titan, and you say no more. You say this stops with me. You say I will not pass this poison to the children I bear or the world I influence. But do you know the pressure of holding back a river? Do you know the strength required to be the filter for an entire ancestry? This is why you feel exhausted. This is why you feel like you have lived 1,000 lives in this one body. Because you have. You are doing the work of 7 generations in a single lifetime. This is the cycle breaker's decree. It transforms your guilt into a badge of honor. It reframes your isolation as a sacred incubation period. You are not alone. You are in training. You are in the chrysalis phase where the liquid of your old self is being rearranged into something that can fly. And you cannot undergo this metamorphosis while you are being poked and prodded by those who are terrified of change. Your family is not attacking you. They are attacking the light within you because it exposes their shadows. It is an automatic reflex. When you shine a bright light into a dark room, the eyes of those dwelling in the darkness will squint. They will cry out in pain. They will ask you to turn it off. Your very presence demands that they look at things they have spent decades hiding from. So your departure was an act of mercy. You removed the light so they could rest in their chosen slumber. And you removed yourself so your light would not be extinguished. This is the shift from guilt to sacred guardianship. You are the guardian of the new timeline. You are the architect of a new family tree, one that is rooted in consciousness rather than obligation, one that is watered by truth rather than secrecy. Edgar Cayce often spoke of the entity who chooses the difficult path of the pioneer. He said that no soul is given a burden heavier than the strength they possess. If you are the one carrying the weight of the separation, it is because you are the only one strong enough to carry it. You are the spiritual special forces of your lineage, sent in to disrupt the pattern, sent in to introduce a new variable. And sometimes the only way to heal the tree is to graft a branch onto new rootstock. You are that branch. So I want you to take a deep breath right now. Inhale deeply through your nose. And as you exhale, I want you to visualize the cords of guilt snapping. Visualize them turning into dust. You are not a bad child. You are a good ancestor. You are doing the work for the future. You are clearing the energetic highway for those who will come after you. There is a dignity in this solitude. There is a majesty in this separation. Do not let the world tell you that family is everything if that family requires you to sacrifice your soul. Your soul is the currency of the universe, and you must protect it at all costs. Because only a whole and healed soul can be of service to humanity. If you stay and shatter, you help no one. If you leave and heal, you become a lighthouse. And eventually, a lighthouse can guide even the most lost ships home. But you must be lit first. You must be standing on solid rock first. You must be unshakable. This brings us to the precipice of the practical application. Now that you understand your role, now that you accept your title as guardian, we must equip you with the tools to maintain this position, because the old energy will try to pull you back. The old biological rhythms will try to seduce you into the comfort of the known misery. We need to install the defenses. We need to activate the 7 Cayce protocols for rapid auric restoration. These are not just affirmations. These are biological and spiritual hacks derived from the readings of the sleeping prophet himself. They are designed to thicken your electromagnetic field, to seal the leaks in your aura caused by years of emotional combat, to reset your nervous system from fight or flight to rest and receive, to optimize your endocrine glands so that you stop producing the hormones of a victim and start producing the chemistry of a creator. We are going to cover dietary shifts that Cayce recommended for those with sensitive vibrations. We are going to cover specific spinal adjustments that release the memory of trauma stored in the vertebrae. We are going to teach you the breathing pattern that instantly signals safety to the vagus nerve. This is the manual you should have been given at birth. This is the toolkit for the modern mystic. But before we unlock the first protocol, I need one final verification from you. I need to know that you are ready to stop looking back. I need to know that you are ready to stop waiting for an apology that may never come, and start building the life that is waiting for you. If you are ready to accept your role as the cycle breaker, if you are ready to wear the mantle of the guardian, I want you to assert your new identity in the comments. Do not just think it. Physically type it out to anchor the frequency. Type these words. I am the cycle breaker. Type it now. I am the cycle breaker. Claim it. Own it. Let the record show that on this day you stopped being a victim of your history and became the master of your destiny. I am the cycle breaker. The protocols are loading. The restoration is imminent. Prepare your vessel. We begin in 3, 2, 1.